Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. City Council for February 2nd, 2023. We'll start off with this hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, and recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. The meeting will also be broadcast on Rogers TV. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the Agendas, Meetings, and Minutes page of the city's website. Councillors attending virtually will be raising their hands in view of their webcam when moving a motion, requesting to speak, and when a vote is being taken. If a member of council is disconnected or having technical difficulties, we will take a recess in order to attempt to rectify the issue. If technical difficulties exist that prevent the meeting from continuing, the meeting will be adjourned and reconvene at a later time. If a councillor attending virtually needs to leave the meeting at any time, they're requested to inform the clerk. And today, Councillor Tate will read the resolutions. So we'll get right into it. No closed session, no any disclosures of conflict of interest. Seeing none. Matters arising. Disclosure of new business. Don't believe there's any new business. Matters arising from the minutes. And the minutes, Councillor Tate.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Woodstock City Council held on January 12th, 2023 be adopted.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Everyone, thank you. Passed. Additions to the agenda. None, and presentations. Now we do have a delegation tonight. Lazio Alt, would that be yourself? Okay. I'll ask you to come to the podium, please. Option to opt out of flyer and deliveries.
Sorry, my first time doing this, so hey.
No problem.
Yeah, so I presented a delegation for I'm not sure if there was there's actually two issues here, but I think from looking at the minutes, or at least the information, I believe that it was going into more of the graphic flyers that were passed out, but that is also an issue. But the issue I was trying to raise is the actual flyer distribution that's going around the city, probably on a bi-weekly basis for the past couple of years from what we've seen. And what we're seeing is a lot of garbage being passed out on people's front lawns. You know, many people, it's going straight from their front of their lawn to the recycling bin and not being used. So we're seeing a lot of pollution. Yes, it gets recycled for that fact, but from what I could tell, all the neighbors I've canvassed in our neighborhood, most of them have no use for these flyers. There's no opt-in or opt-out option for the actual flyers themselves. But I don't know if this was, because this was the delegation I was trying to bring up about, but I know the graphic flyer distribution that happened last October is also an issue. I could speak on that if you need to as well, but so yeah.
I'm not sure if that's necessary. I'll be truthful with you, but it depends up on council if there's anything more. All right, Councillor Schattenberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to our delegation, are you in fact referring maybe to the Oxford Review newspaper, which is often in a plastic bag with a lot of flyers inside it?
Yeah, I probably should have been specific on the actual distribution of the flyers that were sent out. The graphic ones were only sent out from, at least I've only been living in the city for 5 years, but they were passed out last October. And it was not through Canada Post because it was at night and there was families that were actually passing them house to house. So, and then after speaking to many residents in our neighborhood, they were very not happy with the graphic pictures that were shown inside these flyers.
Continue.
I guess maybe to one step further for the mayor again through our delegation. Would you want something more strict than somebody having a no junk mail on their mailbox? Because a lot of people, and I can say this from when I delivered my flyers to the election campaign, as did everybody else here is on council and who ran in the last campaign. The one thing you'd notice lots is that a lot of people don't even have mailboxes anymore, especially in newer construction areas, say houses less than 5 years old, because there's no home mail delivery anymore. But would you want to see that somehow strictly enforced if somebody had no junk mail, because obviously these newspapers, as you say, are often just thrown on the front lawn and not put even on the front porch, let alone a mailbox.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like election papers. I know it's unsolicited still, but there's definitely a difference between a bunch of flyers that are in a plastic bag and then one piece of paper that's, you know, showing your potential election for, you know, sorry, you running for a councillor or mayor position. So again, I'm not the one who makes the laws, but there could be some differences in there in that sense and on the actual bylaws and how it can be presented. But I just see a bunch of paper wrapped in a plastic bag and thousands around the city, and half of them still are in the snowbanks of today because people are not picking them up, right? So it's a difference when they're putting in the doors or right where a flyer you can at least put inside the door and the person sees it and they go in the door. But yeah, to me, it looks just like littering and in that sense. So.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mr. Lazio. Have you ever called the Oxford Shopping News to see if they would not deliver that to the homes in your area?
I have not yet. I have not reached out as of yet, but it was something that was on my mind. I did ask a social group locally, and I've heard that they've tried themselves with no action afterwards. Same deal, they were still receiving the flyers, but it's something that I do want to try. But I alone are not, you know, part of the problem here. It's, you know, hundreds of residents most likely. If all of my neighbors, which is almost 10 of them that I've talked to, have this same issue, I'm sure there's hundreds more in the city that are also having this problem.
I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%. I know that they are a mess, and I know when we get them, they're into the recycle. So that would be my thought on it, is to contact them, and that like you say, there's more than you, and that's wanting that to stop. So thank you for coming forward.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I would ask for is if there's like a more formal opt-out option and that it's being enforced at least in that sense too. That would be, I guess, my concern.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you weren't thinking of the pizzas and real estate things that come in your mailbox. You weren't talking about that.
No, because that, yeah, again, I should have been more specific because I know, again, that's much higher than this council. And I know that comes through the actual post office. So,
And
yeah.
there is a site you can go on the Canada Post, and there is a lot of information on how you can stop that coming in your mailbox.
That's
So-
great. Yeah.
So if you go in there, that would help there.
Well, to be honest, we actually use some of them. So
Yeah.
from the post, so it's like those are
Okay,
actually like
that.
effective, you know, like, oh, coupons, you know, right? Whereas something that's thrown on my lawn where probably 99% I'm not gonna ever look at. I've tried looking at them, I'm like this, and I get that there's businesses advertising. I get there's a business around that. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I do understand. I just don't agree to the visual garbage, and you know, we care about climate. Let's actually, you know, go in that sense and strive for that and show goals of getting rid of things that are not necessary. To me, this type of advertising is back from 1990s. Like, you know, digital advertising has been common for the last 15, 20 years. So, yeah.
But I gotta say, you're bringing a little PTSD back right now, because I am one of those parents with kids that did have a paper route and we delivered the shopping news, and
Myself,
there was a
yeah.
few households that actually insisted and told us not to give one. And so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a formal process. It's been a long time since,
Yeah, I grew up
done
in
that, but-
Hamilton, and I was
Yeah.
the same. I did the Spectator, I did flyers as well, and there was opt-out options, and we
Yeah.
did have to abide by them. So, yeah.
yeah, I'm not quite sure, but any other questions from council for the delegation? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. I am
problem.
looking for a motion then.
Yep.
Counselor Tate,
I'll do a motion that we, Woodstock City Council refer the request about the distribution to staff for a report.
Thank you. And a seconder, Counselor Schadenberg. Any discussion? Counselor Tate?
Yeah, through the chair, just further to that, I did have a call from somebody the other day, because they're getting thrown in driveways. They're getting caught in snow blowers and it's wrecking the snow blowers. Now, I also delivered papers with my children and there is a lot of people who are insistent that they get the shopping news. Some, of course, they didn't want them, but I think it's really important now because everything, as you mentioned, everything is digital. So the shopping news has gone from like this to this because everything's online. Now, I know a lot of seniors don't have them. But I still think it would be worthwhile to have a report to see if we can do anything about it.
Any other discussion? Or Counselor Schadenberg?
I guess further to that point, I know in a lot of apartment buildings, for example, there might be 150 apartments in the building, but there's probably only a stack of 60 of them put there. And at the end of the week, there's probably only 20 that are still left because people can either take them or leave them. They don't have to take them. It's not like it's something that is thrown on their front lawn or even their front porch. There's if you're coming into your apartment building and you want one, then you grab one.
Any other discussions? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
I think that times have changed too. There's not as many youth delivering the newspapers as there was probably back to when referring to children, walking your children around doing that. A lot of them are delivered from vehicles. I know that's how mine is. I see it come flying up my driveway sometimes. So I think that's another thing that will have to be brought into consideration because the method of delivery has changed as have the times.
Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? And no one opposed. Thank you. Carried. Consideration of correspondence. 10A Oxford County Public Works proposed backflow prevention program notice of public consultation centers. Looking for a motion? Counselor Wheaton?
That Woodstock City Council received the correspondence from Oxford County Public Works regarding proposed backflow prevention program notice of public consultation centers as information.
Seconded by Counselor Leatherbarrow. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Carried. 10B. I'm going to call upon Counselor Lauder here.
Thank you. Moved by myself and second by Councillor Wheaton that Woodstock City Council supports the resolution from the City of Kitchener regarding Ontario's Big City Mayors Bill 23, More Homes Built Faster Act 2022, and further that this resolution be circulated to the City of Kitchener, the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Honorable Ernie Hardeman, Oxford MPP. And I can speak to it.
Yeah, please go ahead.
This is the bill, provincial government passed Bill 23, More Homes Built Faster Act 2022 in November 2022 with regulations and changes to several provincial acts, which will have a significant impact on municipalities in the province. Of note is significant concerns relating to the impact of the collection of development charges and parkland levies that will result in billions of dollars worth of infrastructure deficits that without offsetting will severely impact the current tax base as well as impact how municipalities will fund parkland areas. This revenue shortfall will result in property tax increases and severely impact the municipalities' ability to build the infrastructure needed to support the creation of new homes, including roads, sewer, and water systems, and support for the delivery of fire, police services, delaying the building of new homes. This ask is that the request to the province immediately pause the implementation of changes to the development charges and parkland fee reductions in Bill 23 until cities have been consulted on finding solutions to the impacts that these charges will have on communities. So that's why I
Thank
asked
you.
for this.
Any discussion? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Furthermore to what Councillor Lauder has mentioned, I met with the Heritage Advisory Committee a few weeks ago and learned just how detrimental this bill could be to heritage properties throughout Ontario. And there are a number of locations here in our city that could also be affected by this. I know that one of the members has created a great piece that will be handed over to the manager of marketing communications here at the city to share with the community. And I highly encourage folks to read that because it is it's quite scary what could potentially happen to some of our beautiful heritage locations in our city.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Counselor Schattenberg.
Thanks. From the mayor, I guess, through our Parks and Recreation Director, Brian Connors. We have discussed this at the previous council meeting as well, but to give us sort of a lay of the land as far as how things would change as far as the land goes for green space, for parks and for building playgrounds in the city of Woodstock, as far as even land allocations go from developers to be able to build homes faster without having as many development charges assigned to the city.
Your Worship, through to the councilor's question. The two major impacts for parks is growth would no longer pay for growth. It would be the tax base paying for growth. So that's a real hard thing for parks because that's usually how we develop our new parks. The other piece that the councilor was alluding to is that developers would have a greater say on what parcel of land a park would be located on. So they could say, here's a wood lot, or here's some swamp. That's your land. And then we would have to either mitigate that, which would cost quite a lot, or not be able to provide an adequate park in that community. So there are two of the biggest areas as far as detriment for this bill.
Any other questions or comments? I will add that we were at Roma last week. There's a couple of other counselors here, but it was definitely the buzz. That's what everybody was talking about, of course, was this Bill 23 and the different effects it has. And it's a little scary, if I might add, as a mayor as well, looking at it. Certainly don't agree with everything. I see what they're trying to do with it. Applaud them for trying to do something. I just don't think it seems to be the right thing at this point. So hopefully they pause and speak to all the municipalities. So, Councillor Tate.
Just through your worship, I had a conversation with Mayor Tilsonberg about this, and we both agreed that you have to go back to the number one problem, and it's the immigration. So we're allowing 450,000 people a year into Canada, which is the size of the city of London. So you can imagine trying to house all those people. I mean, I don't agree with this bill, but there's a lot of issues going on with this. And I think that's one of the problems. Where do you put all these people? That we just don't have the capacity for it. So I agree with the motion.
If there's nothing further, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you. 10C, Golden Gala Committee in-kind donation request. Looking for a motion? Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
The Woodstock City Council approves the in-kind donation request from Century 21 Golden Gala Committee for use of the city's portable stage for the Golden Gala, which is on March the 4th, 2023 at the Oxford Auditorium.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Schattenberg.
Once again, this is a terrific annual event. Southgate Center, MS Society, and the Easter Seals of Ontario will be receiving the proceeds from this fundraiser. The fundraiser, of course, began way back when, 21 years ago, with the hospital being the main contributor for the fundraiser. And if you want to buy tickets, by all means, don't contact me, contact Dave Hilderly or Franco Castellucci at Century 21. I do want to add, though, that you'll see Jerry Accioni, our mayor, and myself there that night. But we'll be serving beer behind the Alliance Club beer table.
I actually just had my tickets drop off today. We have a table, so definitely will be there. Any other discussion? Counselor Wheaton?
Just a quick question. Is there a cost to the city for what? It's an in-kind request, but is there an actual cost to us financially to move the stage around or deliver, recover it?
If I may, I believe there would be as far as labor wise, staffing only. I don't think there'd be any other. Am I safe to say that? Yes. Looking at Mr. Connors, of course, for those watching at home. Okay, so no, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Again, all in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Carried. 10D, request for exploration of reduced bus fares for citizens living in low income or poverty. Counselor Wheaton?
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Leatherborough that Woodstock City Council refer the request for consideration of reduced bus fare for low-income transit riders to staff for a report. And further, that the report include an analysis of best practices on tiered bus fares across Canada and an outline, pardon me, of the challenges and opportunities for implementation.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to that, Counselor Wheaton?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to that. I think that this was a very well thought out presentation, not just by any one agency, but a collection of agencies who this is a priority for delivering services to them. I don't know what all the opportunities and challenges are on implementation, and so my request would be for us to take a further look into that from staff so that we can make a well-informed decision as a council.
Thank you. Any other questions? Counselor Schoenberg?
From the mayor, I guess I'll direct my question to the engineering department. As far as timetables go and the fact that you've been working on operating budgets and stuff for the last 2-3 months to finalize for 2023, would any kind of a change at this point be very difficult to implement, as they say, for transit or any other department for that matter?
Your worship, through to the counselor. If you are asking if this change could be implemented in terms in time for the 2023 revenue budget, I think it's a little late for that in terms since the budget's coming out next week. And staff needs to write the report for one, then bring it to council. Council would need to approve it. The earliest it would happen would be at the same time. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I can guarantee a report in 2 weeks. Maybe the CAO says we can make a last minute motion depending on when the report comes out. But then Treasury would have to do an impact also. And I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit to say this, but I'm not even sure if we'd be able to figure out what the cost impact would be. I'll take a deep dive into that.
Your worship, through to the question. In terms of the timing of any decision by council that would have the effect of reducing transit fares. If it happens at some point during the year after the levy has been set and approved by council, we'd be looking for other sources of financing to fund whatever we would estimate the financial impact to be, which, as Mr. Dahan points out, would be just guessing at a number because we don't have any historical background to fall back on. If it's something, if it moves in the direction of the way that we manage the current fare program for the city's recreation programs, well, that financing comes from the 15% grants from the OLG slot revenue. So that's one option that we could look to for funding something like this if it's within a budget cycle after an approval of a levy.
Counselor Tate?
Yeah, through the chair, I'll support the motion. I know it's a very in-depth report. I know it's going to be difficult, so I don't want it rushed. I don't want it rushed. I never expected it to be done in 2 weeks, but further to that, I am looking at budget time that we do free bus for the seniors. I know I discussed this with the city engineer a number of times. and which would be simple. So I'm going to be presenting that at council because I think it's really important in these times. The economic environment that we're in now is difficult for everybody, but with the increase in groceries, heating, everything else, I think it's important that seniors are able to get out, and it may not seem like a lot of money to some people because it's $2, but it's $4 with the reduced fare. And if they can get out, to me, it's a big thing. So I will be bringing that forward at budget. It's just a straight in, out. If I don't get support, I don't get support, but that's where I was going with it. So thank you.
If maybe I can comment to that and maybe Mr. Curry can answer it, but could that be part of this report then if you're stating that's going to be something you're bringing forward anyways?
No, I don't want it part of the report.
Okay.
The report is completely separate and it's going to be very,
Okay.
it's going to be difficult to get the data that they want to
Mhm.
get. This was just something that would be enacted right away. And it's simple.
Okay, so we're
But
gonna,
it may not be feasible, but it's just a straight in, straight out. So.
all right, so we'll keep the motion as presented. Okay. All right, any other questions? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Through the chair to council, I think one thing, and I'm hopefully that the city engineering department is able to help us with as well, is realizing that there are folks currently who are not purchasing these passes that with this potential of a discounted rate would be. So as much as there might be funds that could potentially be lost, or there's that question of what might be taken away, there's what still is to come, because there are potentially quite a few families especially that are out there that once something like this was available, they would be able to afford that, and that would be additional dollars coming in as well.
Counselor Leatherborough.
Just some general comments off of Counselor Tate's points, but even in my household of 6, I shared that just the other day I had a medium-sized grocery shop and it was $375. And then my child had to have a baby tooth removed. That was a $400 appointment. And then I also signed my kids up for 3 weeks of camp, which I'm privileged to do these things, but that was just over $1,000. So cost of living is high, and I appreciate if we do support this motion just to get some extra data, because I don't foresee the cost of living going down anytime soon. So those are just some general feedbacks from my circle, and just echoing that life is incredibly expensive for a lot of people these days. Thanks.
Definitely well said. Anyone else? Before I call the vote. Okay, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. No staff presentations, no mayor's report, councilor reports. So 2023 Roma conference, looking for a motion. Councilor Leatherborough.
Should I, excuse me, should I read the report or should I just read the motion as?
No, I think just read the motion. as
Okay,
is.
perfect. So that Woodstock City Council received the report regarding the 2023 Roma Conference as information.
Do I have a seconder? Councilor Wheaton, discussion. Councilor Leatherborough, would you like to discuss it?
Sure. So I did try to condense the 2 days that were jam-packed with information. I really appreciated going with Councilor Wheaton and Mayor Accioni to attend this conference. I've never participated in a conference this large. I got lost on the escalator a couple times, but found the respectable grand ballroom. And it's just always great to network and listen to other leaders that are seeing similar issues that we are seeing here in Woodstock. A big takeaway was Indigenous issues, that we all need to do a better job at getting to truth and then reconciliation. So lots of information in this report, and I'm happy to have this tool, thanks to the city clerk, to show me how to navigate reporting back from Roma. So it was a great experience.
It's actually a very good report, so well done. Anyone else? Councilor Wheaton.
I would just say that, again, thank you for the report, very well written. Summarized the experience quite accurately. I would say there was a tremendous amount of benefit in the opportunity to participate in delegations, with the opportunity to sit in front of provincial ministers and plead our case on a number of issues. So my thanks to senior staff for giving some background on, we did have the opportunity to talk about the impact of reassessment on large automotive manufacturing plants. and what that impact can be at the city, the county, education, and just the spill off effect of that. So a tremendous opportunity. I think we have started some dialogue at the provincial level and what that impact can mean for the city of Woodstock. And so I would encourage all councillors that if you have the opportunity in future years to attend Roma, and if you haven't booked yet to attend AMO in August, because there really is great learning, great networking, and the opportunity to lobby on behalf of our residents at the provincial level.
Any other comments? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Just wanted to say thank you to Councillor Leatherbarrow for putting that report together. I was disappointed I couldn't go to Roma this year. My son's 14th birthday was in there, and we haven't had a couple because of COVID. So I promised I would be around. So I wasn't able to go because of that, but I was following a lot of folks on social media that I knew that were there, and listening to some of the videos or some of the stuff that they provided for us. But having this report was great. So I just wanted to say thank you to Councillor Leatherbarrow for doing that. And I look forward to learning more from those that were able to attend and hearing more about it.
Any other comments? No, I'll just simply add that it was a really good conference. About 1,500 of us were there. Hundreds of municipalities were represented. It was quite incredible. Probably one of my best conferences, definitely the best delegations. Participated in 5 delegations there, and to be able to sit down and have that one-on-one time with ministers was fantastic. And at the end there was some people have called the bear pit, of course. You can ask questions. And I really will give the ministers credit. I think they tried to answer questions the best they could in that kind of atmosphere. But not only that, afterwards, they came and mingled with everybody. Not all of them could, but the majority of them did. So hats off to the provincial leaders. They were there and didn't mind showing their faces and willing to speak. So and do encourage everyone possible if they can get to AMO, because especially when it's in London, it's so close to home. I'll certainly be attending as well. If no other comments or questions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Thank you. All right, department reports. 14B1 2022 annual building report. Councillor Schanberg.
The Woodstock City Council received the 2022 annual building report as information.
Seconded by Councillor Wheaton. Discussion. Councillor Schanberg.
Seeing a report like this, it truly, and I really do would suggest anybody, if there's just one item on today's city council agenda that you want to look at to see what growth from the city of Woodstock would be, to look at this building reports. For example, even though the number of building permits for single family homes or family residential was slightly down in 2022 compared to 2021, the number of building permits issued in December 2022 was 107, and that's an astronomical number, which means the builders are very busy over the winter season. But it also means on top of that, that maybe the increasing interest rates aren't necessarily affecting new construction, maybe as much as we might be fearing and worrying that they are. And I'm not saying it isn't affecting the real estate industry in general as far as resale of residential home goes. That's an impressive number of new building permits for the city of Woodstock in December of 2022.
Anyone else? Questions? No? It is a very good report. That's one I've learned over the years to read. You get a lot of information. $199 million in permits is a big number, considering a lot of that would have been talked about during COVID, dare I say it, time. So there was a lot of hesitancy, but things were moving forward, and goes to show you that, you know, city of Woodstock is still plowing through, because we were about 195 million, if I remember correctly, the year before. So we're right on track and continue. What I found interesting with that, there was 66% of those permits were residential permits. So again, housing is going steady. Okay, and some of our large businesses, Toyota being one of them, you know, I think it was 11.2 million, if I remember, in total of permits, you know, additions going on there. So, I mean, everybody is adding, so good for them. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, carried. 14B2, amendments to traffic bylaw number 8021-4. Looking for motion, Counselor Lauder,
I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding amendments to traffic bylaws 8021-04 to the bylaws section of the agenda.
I don't need a second. I do, okay. Seconded by Counselor Tate. Questions on that, Counselor Lauder?
I'm going to, even though this is Mr. DeHaan's report, I'm going to ask this of Mr. Connors because there's on Piddock Road, there's no parking on both sides of the road. And that lovely park that we have, there's so many people park along there. So I just wonder if you can kind of give us some ideas for the public where they should be parking, if not there.
Your worship, through the councilor's question. So you're referring to the sliver trail system above the north shore of Piddock. When the gate is closed in the winter, because the UTRC doesn't maintain that property in the winter and cars would get stuck down that hill. Probably the best place to park, because there isn't much parking out front of that trail, is by Shanna Larson Park. There's an entrance way in that community park, and as we continue to build the sliver trail out, we are putting our parks right beside the trail, so there's access in and out of that trail system will happen all the way along as we put parks into the new development communities. But right now, Shanna Larson Park would be a good place to park just to get into that trail system.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure we'll get lots of calls on on that parking because I've been there when there's a couple of Sundays ago. I'm sure there was at least 25 cars parked along there. So, and the other thing I'd just like to thank the having the no parking by the pub on Fairway there. It's a lot of people were complaining along that street. And so I think they'll have a lot of people in that area pleased about that. So thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you, carried. Nothing for cultural services, Parks and Rec. 14D1, street tree maintenance contract. Looking for motion, Counselor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council pre-approves the 2023 street tree maintenance contract budget of $250,000 and that council approves the awarding of the contract to Davy Tree.
Seconded by Counselor Lauder. Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Thank you. 14D2 Cowapalooza budget. Counselor Schanberg.
The Woodstock City Council pre-approved the 2023 Cowapalooza budget as outlined in the report.
Seconded by Counselor Leatherborough. Discussion. Counselor Schanberg.
I noticed we have Kristen Broadhagen in the audience, so we better put her to work, your worship, Mr. Mayor. Just want to get a quick background on Cowapalooza 2023 and what can be divulged for this year, including the dates this year.
Sure. So through your worship, as everyone knows, Cowapalooza 2022 was a raging success, especially for our community. The Trews put on a spectacular show. It was just electrifying through the park throughout the weekend. So we really want to replicate that for 2023 and really just build that excitement. We do have a lead on an amazing headliner for Saturday evening, which is why I'm really hoping for your approval of the 2023 Cowapalooza budget.
August 18th and 19th?
Yeah,
Is
we
that
are
correct?
going back
Yeah,
to our, sorry,
back to
through
original.
worship. We are going back to our traditional dates.
Thank you. Any questions? Staff? No? All right, thank you. All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, carried. You have your budget,
Okay.
please. We're excited to,
I have the contract ready to sign.
Oh. so we ready to announce yet or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
I
I
need-
tried, everybody, I tried, I'm sorry. Thank you for your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Excited to learn more.
Mhm.
All right, 14D.3, policy GA 030, requesting city services for community special events. Looking for mover, Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approves council policy GA 030 requesting city services for community special events.
Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Just a quick question through the worship to Mr. Connors. With this new policy, as an individual myself who has often been here as a delegation requesting these, just curious what the plan is to make this aware to the community, to the public, and to the organizations and such that come to you year after year asking for these types of asks, just so they don't miss those deadlines. I know you're doing kind of a one ask per annual. What's the plan on ensuring that folks know about that information?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. The communication, usually when a delegation wants to come to council for a request, it would first go to this staffing group just to operationalize it. Then it would come to council. One of the changes with this policy would be if it's an ongoing group, and I'm just pulling the Terry Fox because that's top of my head, they would need to come to council once per term unless they want to make other changes. So if they're just asking for the same thing over and over again and council approved it, they wouldn't have to keep coming back. It does go, but the other change would be that it goes through a staffing piece first, just so that it's operationalized and that council's not approving something that may have a really difficult time with staff, but that hasn't been communicated because those lines weren't talked about. So this just makes sure that we put that in there. And it's really a lot is for new and growing things because everyone has more and more special events that they'd like to do or great causes, and sometimes staff can manage them, but other times it becomes hard to do that and do their normal operations.
If Counselor Leatherborough.
Through your worship to Mr. Connors, I'm just curious, as a small business owner myself, we're asked a lot, and it's always great to help out as many as you can. So I really like the streamlining of this process. And based on last year, because obviously before that was COVID times, I'm just curious if you've had to, from your department, turn away a lot of events, or the city feels that they are able to help as much as they can.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. We do help as much as we can because we realize that these community special events do make the city special, and it's a really good thing. So we do struggle with some events, especially if it requires a lot of parks time, especially in May and June, just because that we don't have our students yet, and the grass is growing. And a lot of times, and we open our parks actually earlier than most municipalities. We open May 1st. Usually others open around May 15th. So we're scrambling at that time to put all hands on deck. I'm sure Public Works probably has their busy times too. That's why it's not just going to be a parks thing. This is throughout, but right now we're certainly able to manage the load that we've got.
Any other discussion or questions for staff? Yes, maybe I've just got one little question for Mr. Connors. There's, I believe it was a 2-month window you're requesting to have in advance. If there are events that are happening, should they still, even though it's within that 2-month period, should they apply, or are we, what's gonna be the policy there, please?
Your worship, through the councilor's question. Yeah, especially right now, if there's any events that are happening within the 2 months, this is just to give staff enough time to coordinate, with other departments that are affected and that sort of thing. But if we can, make things happen, we'll certainly, do so.
And you just wanted to make sure of that as well. And of course, like most businesses, everyone is seeing a lot of difficulties with staffing, and we're no different as a city. So I can definitely respect that from all our departments. So if nothing more, I assume, nope. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Carried. Clerks, 14F.1, Integrity Commissioner and Closed Meeting Investigator Appointment. Looking for motion. Counselor Wheaton.
That Woodstock, moved by myself, that Woodstock City Council authorize the mayor and clerk to sign an agreement to appoint Robert Swayze as Woodstock's Integrity Commissioner and Closed Meeting Investigator for a 4-year term.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Tate. Discussion. Counselor Schanberg.
Not that anyone in the public would have a sort of a hands-on day in, day out necessity to know who the integrity commissioner is or a closed meeting investigator is for the city of Woodstock, but it is a change of an individual and a law firm from who we've previously had. And I think maybe that's important to just to point out, maybe if it's the clerk or somebody else who could do a brief description on that.
Thank you, your worship, through to Councillor Schadenberg. Yes, for the last 4 years, we have had Mr. Greg Stewart as our integrity commissioner. And he has advised that although he will be continuing with his legal practice, he'll no longer be providing this service to municipalities. So we've worked with the lower tier municipalities in Oxford as well as the County of Oxford to go on the hunt for a new integrity commissioner. So the County of Oxford was kind enough to take that on as the lower tier municipalities were obviously dealing with the municipal election. So in this particular case, they have recommended the appointment of Robert Swayze. And we feel that for consistency is also nice, not only for our members of council who also sit on county council, but also for members of the public who may not be able to determine easily what role those particular councillors are acting in as if they have a complaint, they would go to the same person regardless. So we are recommending that change along with other municipalities throughout Oxford. But you're correct, Mr. Stewart will no longer be providing these services in general. Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Thank you. Chief Administrative Officer report 14G1, symbols of hate, profanity, and obscenity. Looking for a motion. Counselor Schanberg.
The Woodstock City Council directs staff to prepare a bylaw to regulate the delivery of graphic images in the city of Woodstock, similar to that of the City of London's graphic image delivery bylaw that they refer to as PW-14.
Looking for a seconder. Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Would you like to speak to that, Mr. Schanberg? Counselor Schanberg? Jeez, where'd that come from?
I guess, first of all, on a preliminary basis, all of us campaigned last October for the positions that we currently have now. And I do remember one evening was probably maybe it would have been the first day that I received my flyers for that campaign. I was going to go out and deliver some flyers in the neighborhood I grew up in. And that neighborhood happens to be in the Oxford Street area because my son takes karate lessons down at the corner of Winnett and Drew Street there. So I'm out delivering flyers and all of a sudden I see these other flyers obviously sticking out of everyone's mailbox, not hidden in someone's mailbox, but literally sticking out so they could not be missed. And it was 3 or 4 houses in a row that I saw that, which I guess perturbed would be the best word I would use for it because of the fact that the There was graphic anti-abortion imagery in these flyers, which I felt to be very much inappropriate. And I know the city of London has approved on May of 2022 their current bylaw referring to this same idea, where you would take a flyer of sorts like this, put it inside an envelope and say who is distributing this flyer, and put it inside an envelope, and then you can put it in somebody's mailbox. And on the outside, it would have some sort of a disclaimer along the facts of there's possibly images that might be disturbing to some people inside this flyer or inside this envelope. So it's a bit of a warning that way. And since I'm on the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority Board, and we had a meeting yesterday, I talked to Anna Hopkins, who's on the London board, the London City Council, that is. And she talked a lot about their procedure and how it sort of went through the legalities and different departments in the city of London talking about making sure it was a strongly worded and correctly worded as far as the Charter of Rights and Freedoms goes, to make sure that it's something that's strong and would withhold itself. And she talked about the safety of people, just generally the safety of individuals to not see this sort of imagery in their mailboxes. And I really like the way she had talked about it. So I think it's really time that we go forward with this, and we've sort of done our due diligence too, as far as getting reports from the city police and from others, including the City of London, their bylaw office, on what they have seen, specifically on the graphic anti-abortion imagery side of this report.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Just a general comment, as a mother who had a young child at the time find one of these, not in my mailbox, not in my, in my door. It was rolled up with the graphics out of my door handle that my young daughter found, who was very disturbed and had a lot of questions, which I was not prepared to answer. And I felt that this is not something that should be in the door handle of my house. I have the choice of deciding if my child can go to a movie or watch something on TV that's rated. And this was not placed in a way that I had the ability to stop that. So I'm very much in favor of trying to move forward and finding a bylaw that can stop this from happening to other families, because I know it has happened to many others that I've spoke to, and it's a very difficult thing to explain to a young child.
Councillor Tate.
Through your chair, and thank you to Councillor Schadenberg, because I know you brought that to the clerk quite a while ago, and quite an in-depth report. I know it's going to be difficult to police, but one thing I'm hoping is, because a number of municipalities are adopting this, maybe it gets out there, there's more press involved, maybe the people will stop because of the negative press. I don't know what will cause them to stop distributing this, but whatever works, I'd like to endorse that.
And did I see somebody, their hand up over here? No? Any other questions? I'll certainly just add that, yes, during the campaigning period, it was brought up a fair bit. And I know a lot of citizens feel the exact same way as Councillor Wismer Van Meer with young children. It was certainly discussed, so certainly in favor of this. And thank you for the report. No more questions? Then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed? Carried. Thank you. I'm gonna skip down now to draft bylaws. Councillor Tate.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9573-23, a bylaw to amend municipal code chapter 153. 9574-23, a bylaw to amend municipal code chapter 134. 9575-23, a bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 8021-04.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed? Carried. Councillor Tate.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a third and final read. 9573-23, 9574-23, 9575-23.
Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. All right. Questions and addressed by members of council. Tonight, we're going to start with Councillor Wheaton. Trying to mix it up, keep you on your toes.
Reverse alphabetical, I like that. Yeah, I just wanted to remind our community and council and staff that this is Black History Month. And so there are a number of opportunities to learn and engage. February 4th, the Oxford County Archives will be hosting a ceremony that will actually be held at Museum London. February 18th, the Ingersoll Library between 1 o'clock and 3 p.m. Is hosting an event where you'll be actually able to talk and meet with our own Woodstock's Dwayne Kamala Thomas and learn about his vision behind the Ingersoll art installment, which is an intriguing piece of art if anyone's had an opportunity to see it early on. February 22nd, Heather Reynolds will be at the Tilsonburg Library talking about almost forgotten Black history in Oxford County. And for those of us who attended the DART event last night, Domestic Abuse Resource Team over at Goff Hall, we had a sneak peek into that presentation with Heather. An incredibly eye-opening opportunity to learn about the depth of history of settlers here in Oxford County. So I would encourage people to get out and see that. If you can't get out to any of these events, you can walk across the street to the on Oxford County Administration Building. Right in the main lobby is a very thorough display, an opportunity to learn more about this rich history in our community.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. This is from the Art Gallery, and please join us for Creative Family Day on Monday, February the 20th. Enjoy free activities and fun for the whole family at Cowan Park Sportsplex, Woodstock Museum, Woodstock Art Gallery, Theater Woodstock, Southside Aquatic Center, and the Reeves Community Complex. A free public transit bus shuttle will also be provided to and from all locations from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please see the City of Woodstock website events page for more details. And Creative Family Day is sponsored by the Kinsman Group, Inc. And on Saturday evening, the mayor and I had a special invitation to meet with Ukrainian families out at Interkip. And it was Ukrainian families that's settled now in Oxford County. It was reported there's an excess of 100 of them working out at Toyota Bashuka. They're very happy here. They're very well educated, wonderful, wonderful people. And we had a very interesting night. And the people that is up looking after the storage in our PUC building are very appreciative of the area that they have, and that they have lots of things to clothing and items of furniture that they have been distributing. I know my sister-in-law is part of that group, and I know that they're working very diligently trying to help these people get set up in their homes. And I know that they're having issues. One of their issues is the travel to their jobs. And on that, I know my brother took one of the young fellows out. It was his first week on the job, and to Toyota. It was that stormy night, and he walked home at 2 o'clock in the morning to Munich Drive from there. And so there is that issue of getting them back and forth, but I think that they'll work together and try and get rides with one another. But it was a very, very interesting night. It was a potluck dinner, so we had a nice time. So, and that's all. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Councillor Leatherborough, sorry about that.
So I'll mention this this meeting and then the next meeting, but coldest night of the year. I'm sure other councillors will mention this as well. February 25th, which is a Saturday. Please sign up and donate if you can. I donated, but forgot to sign up as I will be participating in the walk. And slight location change that we're just trying to spread the word about. Last year it was held at Old St. Paul's Church where the inn is, and this year it'll be held at Operation Sharing just off of Peel 22 Wilson Street. 4 p.m. arrival, which will give an hour for checking in, parking, 5 p.m. send off, opening remarks. And then when we come back from the walk at 6 p.m., there'll be a light meal served by Bullwinkles. So just trying to spread the word a little bit, that location changed, but all of those proceeds will go to Operation Sharing, which is terrific. And love is in the air. Valentine's Day is coming up. So Real Treats, which is a business right across from City Hall on Dundas, they are having a sweetheart market this Saturday and Sunday, the 11th and 12th. Live music, specialty milkshakes, Valentine's, hot cocoa and popcorn. And as always, do shop downtown because there are a lot of tasty and loving treats to be had. Thanks.
Thank you. And we'll start on this end. Counselor Tate. Sorry,
Yes.
Counselor Shanberg.
Just to carry on with the coldest night of the year, I went on the mayor's site and I was the first one to donate. So you need to reach out to all your Facebook friends and get them to donate because I couldn't believe nobody else had been on it. It's very, very important. It's just been the year anniversary since I passed the motion for the 24/7 shelter. The CAO, the mayor and I had a meeting with the county, not completely happy with the direction that it's gone. Not Sean Chapton's done a fantastic job, but the county needs to pick up. The City of London, as a lot of you will know, a family donated $25 million and it's going to be, will be a total of 35 million by the time it's done to do the wraparound services that we would like to do here. We do not have that benefactor, but Oxford County's always been very generous. So please, there's lots of people. I think there were 64 teams the last time I checked to donate. Very, very important. And I just want to comment on the International Women's Day brunch that Unifor is holding March 8th from 10 till 2. We have county council that day, but they said it was fine to show up at noon. So they are looking for donations, and I would like to thank our own Mr. Connors and Mr. DeHaan donated bus passes and swimming lessons. So if you know anybody in the business, I know businesses get approached all the time, but if you can donate, it would be appreciated. And just one final comment. The mayor's aware of this. My friends at the Restore received a couple pictures. They were waiting for me to come in to see if I wanted them. They were pictures of the museum and the library that somebody had painted. It was from a well-known artist. Somebody had donated them and they were holding them for me to come in to see if we wanted them. CAO said, sure, they're in the mayor's office. If you look at his last interview, they're right in the back and they're fantastic. And I really appreciate Hayden and Greg looking out for us and donating those pictures. And as it turns out, they're from Owen Farrell. He moved his office to home and he donated the pictures to the Restore. But the pictures look great and just a big shout out to the Restore. That was very, very thoughtful of them.
Yes, I'll quickly add thank you, because again, we've been talking about artwork for my office, so couldn't have come at a better time. So thank you for dropping those out, Councillor Tate. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
The reason I haven't signed up for your team yet, Mayor, is because Big Brothers Big Sisters, a few of us are putting a team in for the coldest night of the year, or so we're excited to be doing that. So it's not that I'm ignoring you. I can be walking with some other folks, but Councillor Tate mentioned International Women's Day at Unifor Local 636 as well. The OWN, which is the Oxford Women in Networking, they have their International Women's Day event on March 7th at the Southgate Centre. Yours truly will be the MC again this year. I've done that for a few years now, so I'm excited to work with them. It's a fun night out and great speakers as well. So please go to the Oxford Women in Networking website or their Facebook page to get more information on that event. A couple of theatrical things I want to mention again, of course, here in Park, they have their Shakespeare's Comedy Classic, A Midsummer Night's Dream. It starts on February 28th. Yes, February 28th. And it's really great to see after 15 years that the high school is able to put this production on. So please get out and support them. It's great to support youth in our community. And of course, the staff that are working really hard to do this for the youth there. Guys and Dolls at Theatre Woodstock. This is the concert version. It starts on February 17th. It is going to be a spectacular production. They have a live orchestra, so that adds a little bit of extra flair to it as well. So you can get your tickets now at Theatre Woodstock for that. And it runs over 2 weekends with a matinee on the 19th. And just wanted to say thank you to the Southgate Centre this morning. A great day with Chili Charlie. despite the outcome of maybe a little bit of a longer winter, it was fun. And Chili Charlie's got some great dance moves we found out as well today. That was a great event. And also, I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Mr. DeHaan and Mr. Connors, who I both had the chance to meet with over the last couple of weeks. Just some questions I've had about some things that are going on in our city and just things that have been brought to me. And they were both quick to respond, very quick to find time to chat with me. And I think that just goes to show how hardworking our staff is here. So I did want to say thank you to both of them publicly.
Excellent. I'll echo that. Councillor Shanberg.
Thanks a lot. First of all, the Woodstock Goodwill store, I managed to find this book, Canada's 50 Unforgettable Moments in Hockey. Now, I noticed that the book only goes up to the 2005 Memorial Cup Championship. So those are the 50 unforgettable moments in hockey up to 2005. But what's important about that is what's noted here, 1905 is the year that Klondike Joe Boyle from Woodstock took his team from Dawson City across to go play the Ottawa 67s. Dawson City, of course, did not win the Stanley Cup that year. They got thrashed, but Klondike Joe Boyle gets a nice notification in this book that I bought at the Goodwill store. Also wanted to mention, no one's mentioned Hospital Foundation 50/50 draws today, so I will. The next draw is on February the 28th at 9:30, so it's early on for February to buy your tickets. Amazing, the December winner, 139,000 for a 50/50 draw is amazing. But so for the month of February, for 333 tickets, it's $40. For 100 tickets, it's $20, and so far down to even 10 tickets for $10. But Woodstock5050.ca is the website to be able to go to order your tickets for the Hospital Foundation 50/50 draw. And that's it. Happy Valentine's Day to people. You know what? I've got two advisory committee meetings that day, the Museum Committee and the Recreation Advisory Committee. Thanks.
Are you trying to tell me I should call Nicole now and let her know so you're off the hook? Is that what you're asking? I should check my calendar. Actually, I shouldn't laugh at that. Well, a lot of those things I wanted to bring up have been mentioned. Let's see. Of course, this morning I was the messenger, so don't shoot the messenger. It does look like Chili Charlie did. I believe it works, saw his shadow. So therefore I was told by Chili Charlie that 6 more weeks of winter. So unfortunate, but it does. That's the prediction here in Woodstock. So we'll see if he's right. Now I'm hoping not. Black History Month, that event last night was excellent. Jeff Pereira was the speaker. And I really want to encourage everyone to look at that more. We need a lot more diversity. We've got Woodstock is changing, and that was one of the topics last night, is about, you know, being open and discussing and getting to meet your neighbors and talking about everything else. And it was really, so hats off to Dart and Oka. They kind of did that event together and sponsored. It was like golf hall. So it was a very, very well run event. I enjoyed that a lot. Of course, the 75th anniversary was at the museum last week on Saturday. We had a tea. So congratulations to our museum, of course. It's been celebrating 75 years here. The week before, I did have the opportunity to go to London, England. I did meet with the economic development officer there in England. What a great meeting. I gotta say, we've been in communication since and going back and forth, and this is really exciting. Also want to congratulate, the art gallery. John Hartman has his artwork there in the embassy, right there at Trafalgar Square. So I encourage anybody that is there to make sure, check it out. The Woodstock Art Gallery was behind that and got the grants and everything else to be able to put that there. And it was fabulous. It was really, really nice. And was able to visit Woodstock, Oxfordshire, where of course we get our name from. So some history goes back, and was really welcomed by the mayor there, was able to see the building, which looks almost identical to the museum square here. So it's one of the very first buildings, which was based on Woodstock, Oxfordshire. So I want to thank them for their hospitality. Unfortunately, was only there a few hours. The whole trip was such a whirlwind, but it's definitely going to be a trip to make on a vacation, and I encourage everybody to go check it out. Because I will be. I'll have to go back to enjoy. The Roma conference, we kind of touched on that. Again, it was such a great event, having the opportunity to sit down with ministers, very thankful for that and looking forward to AMO. Golden Gala was kind of touched on March 4th. Make sure you attend the event. It is a great cause for a lot of different, it was, pardon me now, Easter Seals, Councillor Stoutenberg, I know you mentioned it. MS and the Southgate Center, of course. Cowapalooza, everybody knows me. I love Cowapalooza. It's one time a year I get to wear my cow pants. My wife makes sure I never see them any other time. It's the only time she'll let me wear them. So I will have those out and I can't wait for the news. Hint, hint. I'd love to hear. Coldest night of the year. Yes. Thank you, Councillor Tate. You were the very first person that did sponsor our city team. It's not my team. I do want this as many councillors as possible, but also city staff. So I'm welcoming city staff. We have a couple of staff members on the team already. So if you're looking to participate, if you either financially or come out because it is such a great cause for operation sharing. And with that, I think that's basically everything. I'll call for adjournment. Councillor Wheaton, seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your week. Bye now.